Welcome, Panther fans, to the first episode of Off the Rails Sports Saturday, coming to you live from the Panther Hut at the State Football Stadium here in Portland, Tennessee. Guys, big time today, exciting. Kind of speechless a little bit about what's going on here, but welcome to. I am your host, Coach Almendaris, along with Kyle Eaton and Coach John Thayer. Guys, we're moving homes, got moved and everything, starting this new adventure here, and hopefully y'all's day is going good so far.
Well, I just want to say you're talking about being anxious and things that are changing and things that you've got going. This was kind of your dream, if I can say that, more than 3 years ago, before we even started at the beginning. I think you kind of had this end game in mind. Just getting from there to here, didn't really know how it's going to transpire. And with all the things that's happened, it's kind of crazy that we've come to this, that we've got to this point.
Oh, it definitely. When me and Coach Combs came up with this idea about doing a podcast and doing this 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, he wasn't there to start it with when we started it, me and you, Kyle, at the radio station. And just want to say thank you to WQKR and Lee for allowing us to have the show at first, to learn how things are working and everything, and then to be able to then take John. John is kind of the one that kind of got us going with the we was all talking about the podcast. And John was like, man, yeah, we can do it. We just need to do this, and this. And we were like, oh, yeah, okay. And then a couple months have gone, and we're like, hey, let's go back and revisit this. And then we're like, yeah, let's really do this. And then, man, out of nowhere, it was like a couple weeks ago, it was just...
when the train got started, the train got rolling.
Man, I watched a movie last night called Unstoppable about the runaway train. Train 777, and that's funny that you mentioned that, and that's kind of how it was. It's like we talked about it, was like, are we serious? We said, yeah, and next thing I know, John was like, hey, it's what it is, we got this, and we're rolling, and next thing I know, it was, it's moved fast in 2 weeks. It's really moved fast in 2 weeks, and I will have to say, there is a lot of stuff that goes into this that a lot of people don't, it's not just getting, an audio and getting an audio and then just kind of posting it here and there, and then all of a sudden it's just, it's today's the day. So we started out what we're going to do here. I posted it on Facebook. We're going to do audio. We're streaming live on audio right now. We're recording it on video, and what we're going to try to do is we'll edit that video, and then we'll post later, and hopefully that works. If everything works in the video, if it's not good, we won't post it and everything. But that's kind of our thoughts right now. But anyway, just want to welcome everybody over to Off the Rails Sports Saturday podcast. We'll be here every Saturday that we can. There might be some Saturdays we don't do it, or maybe we can record it earlier in the week and then post it later on. It won't be live, and that's the good thing about the podcasting. We can do that if we need to. But again, staying with the same concept, what we're doing, talking about Portland sports, the high schools, middle schools, the youth, everything that's going on. It gives us more ability to go cover things and don't have to, because the only schedule we have to worry about is our own work schedule. Outside of this podcast, we don't have to worry about any other shows or anything like that. We don't have to worry about the equipment. It will be in our hands at all times, and so again, it should be a better experience. Just want to say thanks to first off, thanks to WQKR for allowing us to learn the whole concept and everything of doing this, and then. Want to say thanks to the Portland Quarterback Club. We're in the Panther Hut right now at the stadium. I want to say thank you to them for allowing us to give us the back room They've dressed it up. Hopefully in the video, once we get video going, you'll see it's a nice little area here. They dressed it up for us, got us tables, got a lot of memorabilia behind us. We'll work on some more stuff like that. Excuse me. When we have guests, we have a fridge full of drinks. We've got snacks here. We got coffee here. So when we have guests on, they can eat and don't have to sit there and bring their own drinks, or they can drink some coffee when they wake up or whatever. But just want to say thank you to the Quarterback Club for allowing us to have it here and to make this our new home, and to do our Saturday show for that.
So you're saying this is going to be the place to be?
This is going to be a place to be on Saturday mornings. So, it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? We did a show 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, right after we got started. We started in June, I think in July or August, early August. We was only doing the show the first 4 or 5 shows, and then all of a sudden we had a live show here at the stadium, remembering Gerald Turner, and had a lot of old players and coaches come back, and we had a big turnout. And so we're kind of back home to where it kind of all started, funny how things go. What was funny earlier also was we sit here setting up, we got the door open and had the train go by. And if we're going to call this off the rails, and with the train, and if everybody knows the history of the train tracks being right next to this football stadium, me and John was sitting there kind of laughing about that, saying it was pretty funny. Having that train go by, that'd be cool to be doing the broadcast and have the train roll by, and that way, it's you have that in the background. It kind of goes along with everything else that it's just kind of come around and everything. So, but just big happenings, and just give us time, guys. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have mess ups here and there, but just give us time to tweak things, to learn things. It's brand new for us. And so I think we're going to be okay with audio. We're trying to do the sound right now, the levels of the audio right now, trying to get them corrected and all that. But we'll get there. Just bear with us as we go through this growing stage and everything. Then videos will get there. And then the big thing is, we'll be broadcasting live a lot of sporting events. That's another thing that we wanted to do. And we were blessed by the high school to allow us to go with us and be able to do that. So audio will always be there. Video, as we get better at it, we'll start doing videos, live streaming the games. Probably starting in January is what we're thinking about the live broadcasting video-wise. The streaming, we'll do the first audio stream December 2nd, basketball game. You'll have Kylie and John Thayer as your commentators. I'll be behind the scenes doing the sounds and stuff like that. And but that's kind of our schedule, how we're looking at things.
All right, I'm going to do a mic test
Okay.
on mine. It's awful loud, but I'm going to turn it down a little bit. But hello, bear with us. We're working on this.
So I want to reach out there while he's doing that and talk about the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And the Portland Sports Network. And so we're going to need some help, because one of the major concerns was some people's ability to access this channel outside of a manual radio. So we're going to ask for everyone's help that's possible. Make sure you subscribe, and that's not to monetize our efforts at all. That's so that you will get notifications whenever things are happening. Whenever something's going live, we've got a game going, you'll get that notification to know that it's coming up. That's why we want, when we say subscribe, that's why we want to do that. Feel free to use the comments section. Help us out. We need someone to tell us, you need to do this, you need to do that, this will make it better, things like that. But we also need to know that people are going to help those that don't know any other way to listen to the games. And I know there's many out there that enjoy listening to football and basketball games. They talk about it. We get the text. We'll see them in town or something and they talk about it. And there is concern that those people won't have access or won't know how to do it. So we're counting on our 10 listeners to make sure that they spread that around. And be willing to say, hey, I can help you. And there's going to be I guess you call it a media blitz on this in the next few weeks to try to get the word out and get the help out. But just be aware, if anybody kind of complains that they can't any longer hear the games, be willing to help them or be willing to get on our information so that we can help them, because we don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, you know, it's everything's moving. Like I said, everything's moving forward with technology today. You still got some people out there that don't enjoy the technology. I can tell you right now, I don't have a laptop at home. I've got a small Chromebook, and then of course the company's laptop, and I'm not going to do anything with that. But there's laptops out there people have. Maybe
Is that frowned upon?
No.
I didn't know that.
So I'm just saying, I'm gonna have to step up my game and go get a laptop that I can use. You know, that I can have access to. And anybody has an old laptop they ain't using, you want to, clear it out.
Don't say old.
Well,
We've already found that out.
if you have something that you're not using that can have internet access, you want to donate it, clear it out, get it back to original, and clear it out, and maybe want to donate it, that way we can get it to people who don't have access to the internet, and so they can get games. And because like you said, we want to do this to make sure everybody is enjoying it and able to hear. And again, we're going to have growing pains as we move forward. Just bear with us, like you said, Kyle. We have to learn from that. We have to figure out how to fix it, and then as each episode goes from Saturday to a broadcast, from a game broadcast to whatever, it gets better and better, and hopefully, the end result is everybody's having a good time and enjoying the broadcast, and no matter what it is, if it's a live game or if it's a show we're doing right here, everybody's enjoying it, and everybody has the ability to listen in and stuff like that.
And I don't want to be doom and gloom. I mean, there's certain way people that are now listening to it streaming, and they go to their certain place, whether it was a website or whatever they went to. You'll still be able to do that, and you won't have to worry about being able to go directly to YouTube and finding us and all that. The Portland High School will put our link and our logo on their athletics website. The Portland Quarterback Club will have the link and the logo on their website. So pretty much anything that those that were listening to it via streaming were doing in the past, there should be no issues with that. You're just going to a different place, and click on that, and it'll take you directly to where you need to go.
And so we're trying to make the transition as smooth as possible, but we just want to sit there and say, appreciate everybody who has heard about it and is behind us and helping us push it and getting us out there. I mean, this past week has been crazy on how much we've been told. We got so and so on board. So and so can't wait for this to and this business or these people are talking to YouTube about the emails and text messages that we've all gotten about trying to move over to this and that and everything. It's just been great news. It's, everybody's excited for it, and again, just we're excited. It's something, like I said, something me and Coach Combs had in mind 4 or 5 years ago when we brought it up during COVID. I believe it was the 2020 season, 2021 season. I think it was. I got to figure out how long I've coached now. I think it was 2020, 2021 when we came up with the idea. I think we started in 2022 because I think we're 3 years in now, Kyle, me and you with the show, and a lot of people to thank, and a lot more people to we're going to lean on trying to go forward with this and everything. But everybody who's helped us so far, we just a big thank you there, and just like I said, just bear with us as we're trying to get the odd little bugs worked out and trying to get this and that done. The most important thing is that we can do audio, and you can listen to this show, you can listen to the basketball games, football games, and hopefully we can start bringing you more events, middle school games to baseball, softball, soccer, youth sports over at Richland Park. We can go over there and broadcast something if we wanted to, And that's what we want to do. That was the whole concept of this channel, was to cover all sports in this town, so everybody can know what's going on. And we praise the kids first and foremost for being out there and taking their time to learn a sport and to play it and to enjoy it and everything. And that's the most important thing. We'll start having guests probably starting next week is what we're hoping. We'll start bringing guests on and start trying to get more athletes in here to talk about what they do and how they go about playing the sport that they do. And I know we've kind of been not had too many guests on in the last couple months and everything, and but hopefully that changes and we'll go back to what it has been, to bringing guests on every Saturday, at least on this show, and then moving forward, doing other things. So.
You think John will ever get situated?
Maybe.
I mean, you thought hey, John's not talking. Things are going good, but
Well,
not in this particular scenario.
We got the volume taken care of, but we got a little bit of an echo going on, so.
I would say that's what I'm getting text messages on that.
So I'm working on the echo. We finally got your volume up, Kyle. That's good, because the voice of the Panthers actually
Well, I
has
mean,
to be
I'm
heard.
eating the microphone. I don't know what else to do.
But the echo, and I don't know, I mean, we had no echo at the basketball game. You thought if there was gonna be an echo, it'd be at that gym.
Well, talking about basketball, let's go ahead and go into basketball, and we'll get into. We're going to cover, guys. We're going to cover the wrestling that happened the other night at the high school, the first wrestling match for Portland High School. We'll talk about basketball. Basketball started. They ended up going down to Hendersonville this past week, playing the Commandos down there. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Friday night, last night's football games, playoffs, third round, quarterfinals were played last night. A lot of local teams saw their season end. And maybe talk a little bit about the basketball predictions on what everybody thinks this year is going to be for our basketball teams. Little update on Avery Hughes being invited to his official invite game-wise. And then see what else we have here. Talk about, we have a coach, Coach Lamberth won an award this past week. Coach Lamberth was our DB coach, our safeties coach, and co-coordinator, defense coordinator. He won an award this past week. I want to bring that up. And then, of course, anything else that just pops up at that moment and everything. So, but with that, let's go into Kyle. We can start talking about basketball if you want to talk about, or Coach Thayer if you're ready to go there.
Yeah, I may not ever be ready to go. But anyway, yeah, basketball game. The girls had a disappointing loss, 43-20. Don't have the scoring in front of me. Curtis sent it to me, but anyway, it was a disappointing game. It's
okay. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead. You got the score. You got the score.
yeah, and basically the bottom line is, me and Kyle talked about it during the basketball game. We need a point guard in the worst way, and that happens whenever you lose your college signee point guard for, I don't know,
4 years.
4-year starting point guard. So that happens. Every program runs into it. It's something that, you've got to deal with. We just need to deal with it. I'm not going to tell Coach Stein what to do. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. But I do have suggestions. He's probably going to have to go with one of his youngins that he thinks point guard, or maybe two people going on. And it's going to be tough early on. Right, it's going to be tough for him, but they're going to have to struggle with it and get it figured out. The one thing that somebody said I'm very loud. I'm always very loud. So anyway, I've got 2 headsets going on to make sure I can get the other one right. But we just need to do it. We've got a good nucleus of talent. There's no doubt. So the point guard situation is they're just going to have to grow into the role, so to speak. You could probably get one of the older girls that their normal position isn't point guard, and move them over and kind of look like you're putting a Band-Aid on it. But my personal opinion is, in the long run, if they're not really a true point guard, when it gets time for tournament time, it won't possibly work out the way you need to. But they'll get it figured out for sure. I'm not worried about that. The boys look spotty off and on early, but at the end of the game, when it mattered, they put it together. The funny thing about it is, if they put a full game together, it wouldn't have even been a close game. They went some little droughts of shooting. They turned the ball over a little bit. But the key to me is they kept fighting. When they got behind, they didn't panic. They kept fighting and working hard, and when their shots came, they went in. They played good defense for the most part the whole night. A few breakdowns on dribble penetration, but not too bad. But I was impressed with the outcome of the game. I think there's nothing but blue skies ahead for them if they keep working. And when Coach Ferg brings up playing zone again, they listen to him and learn how to do it. Because I think with this athletic group of players that they have, a zone defense would be really effective. I know a lot of the boys themselves think playing zone is for sissies. They like to play man-to-man, but they just don't really understand basketball at this point the way they need to. Because if you can mix it up a little bit and throw a zone defense at people from time to time, it really catches them off balance. And you can get a lot of tips and a lot of steals that way too that you normally can't. So anyway, I think they look really good. The girls will figure it out. We got tons of talent. We got tons of length. We got tons of rebounding. So they'll get it figured out. But I'm sure, I didn't watch the game. I don't know if the point was the problem or not, but I'm sure there's going to be growing pains at that position.
Talking about the boys, it was a close game. Ashley, I think we were behind the majority of the game until the fourth quarter. And we went on we ended up outscoring them 20-7 in the fourth, and that's what kind of pulled us ahead there, looking at the app and the scoring in back quarters and everything. As long as you're there, they always sit there and tell you just want to be close. And then in the end is when you want to sit there and have your athletes sit there and take over and everything. So
yeah, they did a good job. Tristan Calvert scored 12, Evan Brown 2, Evan Ferguson 12. Bear with me, I should have brought my glasses. Nate Honeycutt 11, Quentin Totten 5, Keelan Doughton. There was something over in my thing here. I don't know. I'll come back to Key. He knows I love him. But yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Keelan had 12, but in that 20-7 output in the fourth, it was the Tristan Calvert show. It became, and if you're looking at Hendersonville, of course, a classification above us, and we've been playing them every year now for a while. We did home and home series. Not been able to get over the hump in defeating them. Last year it came close. Both games were single digits. I think that second game at home was like a 3-point loss. Just never have been able to get enough to get past it. And this time, yeah, it's like they turned everything on in the fourth quarter, and that may be a sign of things to come. I know it's game number 1, but you want to be 1-0, not 0-1 after that first game. So it's a good start to the season.
and maybe it just took 3 quarters for excuse me. It just took 3 quarters for to help get them going, to understand things, to actually see live things. Let me ask you this, guys. You all know basketball more than I do. They scrimmage? Do they have scrimmages, before they start?
Oh, against
Like a
other
pregame?
teams? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure who they scrimmaged, but yeah, I'm sure they, without a doubt, they did. Plus, all summer they played.
Yeah, during the summer they had a little day game with Upperman, which is state title every year, or in the running for state title every year. And I heard we held our own in that game, in that little scrimmage. But it's not as much as you think you'd see. But yeah, they do get some pre-season workouts in.
And just being able just to run your defense, it's different between, I guess, when you practice in football. If you know the plays, you can kind of cheat if you know the calls. And I guess you can do that with basketball. If you know the call, you know what's going to be happening. You can kind of cheat defensively if you're working on your offense, or offense, you're working on your defense type of thing. You can kind of cheat, and you're supposed to get screened right here, and you can kind of avoid it if you're trying to do something there. But again, it just takes, and that's why a lot of times you'll see some teams play a smaller school. I do like to where we can take on a bigger school like that, and came out, had some struggles, and so you had to sit there and fight for it a little bit, and then you come in and kind of took over, and that's I think that's a good point right there, coaching point, where you can go, hey, you struggled a little bit here, we got to do better here, but you still continue to fight, and at the end you ended up with the win. And so that right there can tell the kids and build confidence in the kids that even though we get behind, we can still battle, we can still sit there and make plays and still come out with the win. So I think that that's a big thing right there.
And that's what's common for both coaches. They want to get those tough teams in the beginning. They want to try to get teams that play different styles, especially the styles that our opposing region will play come region tournament time. They want to try to find teams that are similar to them, and they do a good job of that. That's why it's not especially on the boys' side. It's not uncommon. After Christmas, you're looking at maybe a 5-10 record, and then they run off and they'll win the district and make a run in the regions, possibly to the sectionals, because they've played those hard teams at the beginning and they've seen those things that they're going to see come January, and they've seen it early, and they get a chance to adjust to it and figure out how they're going to attack it.
Yeah, I agree. I think good things are ahead, and like I said, the girls will get it figured out for sure. I have no doubt. Coach Stein's a really good basketball coach, and the girls respond well to him. That's the key. You could be a great coach, but if you can't get it over to your kids, and they don't want to play hard for you, then you're not as good of a coach as you think you are on paper. But they listen to him, they respect him, they work hard for him. And like I said, coming into the season, if you were going to be honest, and I'm not dumping on our point guards, they're young, right? It is what it is. I know when my son started out in high school, a point guard, he got banged around pretty good his freshman and sophomore season. The bigger juniors and seniors, he couldn't keep up, right? It is what it is. He wasn't as strong as them. He wasn't as old as them. But when he got in those junior, senior season, then he was the one bouncing people off of him, right? It is what it is. So our girls just got to grow up quick.
So with that, have you all talked to the coaches so far in the last couple of weeks to see what they're looking at maybe for the season, kind of their prediction, or talk to anybody? Maybe talk to Curtis and seeing what the prediction was, maybe preseason on where we should be at, or things like that.
Coach Ferg and I have communicated, but I didn't want to get just yet into the depths of what was going on in the upcoming season. We're planning on getting together before our first game and sitting down and getting his thoughts, both him and Stein, on the season. I did read an article from the Portland Leader, things that are going on, and they kind of said things that we were thinking about. I mean, as far as the girls' side of it, yep, they got to replace Taya Totten. And you're not going to do that with one person. You're going to have to do that with several. They're going to have young players that's going to come in and help. And on the boys' side, may change their style of play a little bit. You look at Avery being out now. I mean, everybody thought about losing him for the rest of the football season. Well, now we've lost him for the basketball season, so you lose that interior player.
Right.
So.
And Cottle's going to have to step up in there too.
And it looks like
it's going to be a lot of pressure for him.
It looks like you may see a faster paced game from the boys' side of it.
Right. It's
going to
be
counteract that interior deficiency that they may have.
And that's why the zone would come into effect too, right? The zone would definitely help out big time on this. And so like I said, Coach Ferg's a good coach. He's got some really good athletes on the team. We talked about last year, you just got to kind of know who's hot going down the stretch, and don't shoot yourself out of the gym if you're in a game or get behind. Just don't give up. We've got a lot of kids who can go downhill and score that way, create fouls. And obviously we got 3-point shots. So sometimes I think last year we got certain times in the game that we the boys lost composure just a little bit and started firing them up from outside, I think, a little sooner than they needed to. So it's a good group of kids, and they can definitely play basketball.
Well, I think everybody loves the run and gun type of style. That offense that everybody loves to score and then get down and drop a three here and there and then take off back down and play some defense, and that's exciting. Just kind of like in football, everybody loves to pass and get those big passing plays and everything. But you also got to be well rounded, and I know Coach Ferg and Stein know that. And like you said, you got people you have to replace. You have to replace every year, and that's once you get used to doing that, that's why your JV team and your young guys are very important to be developed and make sure that they're coming along like they're supposed to. And then all of a sudden, you just hope that they mature quickly and can be able to contribute there, and that just really does help everything. But I think with that, we're going to take our first break. We're going to try this commercial thing here. It should work. And when we come back, we'll talk about wrestling, the first ever wrestling match at PHS, and let's see how much we don't know about wrestling is probably what we're going to probably talk about.
And let us know if there's feedback on the commercial. That would be interesting because that's a recorded audio segment, so it should have nothing to do with the microphones and stuff. So
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. You're listening to Off the Rails on PSN Network. Oh, we're back already?
yes, sir. 30 seconds, unless I tell you different.
I heard that before. Well, I'm so used to having 3 minutes here.
Yeah. Well, or sometimes we never did go to commercial. So.
Well, that's true. So welcome back, Panther fans. Again, you're listening to Off the Rails here, Sports Saturday, on the YouTube podcast on the Portland Sports Network. And again, I appreciate everybody listening in. If you're listening in, if not, let us know somehow, some way. You can still contact us on Facebook. The page is still there. Contact us there with the message. If you know somebody, one of us three, send us a text and let us know, or just get us a message on what can be better. But guys, the other night, I believe it was Thursday night, the Portland High School Tuesday. Okay, I don't know my days. They just run from. They all end in Y. So.
Sorry for that.
No, you. Yeah. But Tuesday night.
Did you just say they all end in Y?
Yeah. It's all the same,
Right.
you know.
Right. Didn't think about that.
So, but Tuesday night was the first ever wrestling match for Portland High School. Everybody was excited about bringing in wrestling. You know, it was the big talk over the past year. Able to grab a great coach who has a great legacy and record on what he's done in the past, and that's Coach Jeff Roberts. Plucked him out of retirement and got him in here, and we knew there's going to be some growing pains in here and there, and not only for the athletes that are competing, but for the fans. We have to start understanding, it's not what you see on Saturday night or Monday Night Raw or this or that. Trying to understand points, trying to understand, how they do things here and there, and it was just it was fun getting there early, kind of see how both teams warm up, and then how they go through their little the stuff that they do, and then how the scoring starts, and then it's just it's not about just pinning the guy. You can win on points, you can lose on points, and trying to figure out the points and everything. But overall, the wrestling ended up being we took on Liberty Creek, who's had I guess a wrestling team for the last 3 or 4 years, or however long they've been around. They've been around now for 5 years.
We'll go with that.
Okay, so
I don't have a clue. I
but
thought they
how
only
long Liberty
wrestled
Creek's
in-
been around, I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't
thought they
remember.
only wrestled in Clarksville and Nashville. I didn't even know they wrestled in Sumner County. In Beach. Does Beach still have wrestling there?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
they do.
But I know Clarksville High School, they're one of the prevalent.
But we ended up
wrestling programs.
losing 63-12 was the final score, if you want to look at scores. And again, it's one of those things where, you have to understand the scoring. And what I watched and what I kind of noticed, it was, we were so close. We were so close on a lot of the matches. I know you sat down in front of me, Kyle, so I know we've seen the same thing there. It seemed like we were so close on a lot of things, and then all of a sudden it was real quick. There was one move here, and next thing I know we was pinned, or we was always trying to get it out of a hold and everything. And so, that's the learning process. What I did like was we did win 2 of our matches. Chris Bravo and Xander Hall won their matches. They both won them by pins. And I can say Chris Bravo is the first Portland athlete to record a pinned win for Portland High School. Chris Bravo got the win. Second wrestler to go in and to wrestle for the night. Ended up pinning his guy. And then Xander came later. But I will say this, that
Just an experiment.
So
I'll try and see. Kyle, mic test, please.
what did
Okay,
you,
thanks.
Kyle? What was your observation from wrestling the other night?
Well, I'll say that I've never had any interest or desire to watch or be a part of high school or college wrestling. It's never interested me, never thought about it. But I wanted to go just to say that I'd been there. I want to say, hey, I went to the first one and let's check it out. And I am already hooked. I had no idea what the scoring was. I had no idea what I was looking at. Yeah, but I was in it, and I am already a fan. I wanted to check to see when the next home game was. I think it's like January or something.
It is, yeah.
Come on, now I've got to wait. Now I've already got excited. I really got enthralled with it. I had no clue about the score, and I thought, man, boy, we're close on this one. Then you look at the scoreboard, and we're down 9-1. I thought, I don't know what's going on. But I had these Liberty Creek people that was around me, and they would complain to the official. Well, you missed that. That should have been a this, or you should have counted all. And of course, I didn't know what to, but they were really into it. And when something good would happen from Portland that I didn't understand we was doing something good, the crowd was getting just raucous. I mean,
oh, it was loud. It was loud.
They would get into it, and I want to learn more about it now, and so I can understand what I'm looking at when I'm watching. But I'm a fan now, and to me, just the eye test, not knowing the rules and not knowing the techniques and things like that, Xander Hall's the real deal. I think he has found his calling. He went. I mean, as soon as he started, I said, "Whoa, wait a minute, this kid may have it." And then he, of course, like you said, he was one of the two that had a pin, and I enjoyed watching him. I'm all for it now.
So I know their next match will be in Kirkwood next Saturday. And like I said, I think I heard that the team has to leave school at 6 to drive up there or get there at 6:30 because you've got weigh-ins, and then you've got you got to get ready, and so it starts at 8 o'clock. I don't know if that's where the match starts, is at 8 o'clock, or if that's the weigh-in starts at 8 and then the matches start at 9. Because I thought the matches started at 5 the other night, and it was the weigh-ins that started at 5. And
Yeah,
then the
thanks
match
for
started
that.
at 6. Hey, I just, certain apps are out there saying 5 o'clock. So anyway, to go over some points, and hopefully next.
Yes, I need that.
So hopefully next week we'll have Easton Duffy on, who's helping assist coaching, and he can go over some more stuff. We'll get more details with him once he gets here. But looking at, you get 1 point to escape a move. If you escape, that's 1 point. If you do a reversal, that's 2 points. If you take down, if you get a takedown, that's 3, and that's what I was seeing a lot. That's where we was losing a lot of our points, was we'd stand up and as we start going in, all of a sudden we get thrown down, and that's your takedown, and that's 3 points right there.
But what's considered a takedown? I saw a lot of us being on the ground, and there was no scoring.
Yeah, I saw us doing the same thing they did, and they were getting
what
points, and we wasn't. I was like, man, we just did the same thing.
What is a take? Yeah.
So we'll get more into that. We'll ask maybe Easton next week when he's on, and he can explain this in detail. What a takedown is. You get 3 points for a decision, and then you get 6 points for a pin. So you can add up a lot of points looking at it that way. And then during the decisions, you get points for the decision. So if you get 3 team points, if you win by 1 to 7 points. So if you win 4-3, you get 3 team points. If you're 6-1 on your points, that's within the 1 to 7, you get 3 team points. And so that's how the team points that you saw the scoreboard, where we lost 63-12. That's how those points got wrapped up. So if you win between 1 to 7 points, you get 3 team points. If you win between 8 to 14 points, you get 4 team points. And if you win by 15 points or more over your opponent, you get 5 team points. And if you pin your opponent, you get 16 points. So that's how we got our 6, because we got 2 pins. So that's our 12. And then they got 63 points. And so that's how they accumulated those 63, was dependent on the decision, how many points they were ahead or by a pinfall. So, but like you said,
and then they had more players than we had, or more wrestlers than we had, and so you had the forfeits.
That was amazing. Yeah,
you get an automatic 3 points for that. I'm assuming.
Well, wouldn't you get the pin at the forfeit? Did you say a pin was 6?
a pin would be 6. So I don't know if you get, again, that's another question we can ask Easton next week if he comes on. We can get him on the show and everything.
We can Google it too, that'll tell us. I used, back in the old days, I knew a lot about wrestling, but right now I'm just working on audio.
On the PHS athletic website.
Right now,
there's
my
a
life
rules
is one
page.
thing, audio, and it's 6:45 Tennessee football, but I got till 6:45.
What were you saying there? The rules page is where?
There's a rules page on the Portland High School athletics website when you choose wrestling or links, one or the other. But it's more towards the official or them. It's a video and it's more explaining to them all the different things. And I tried to kind of figure out. I mean, there's a red band and a green band.
So I know that. So
that means something.
So each person coming in, they normally put a loop or a strap around their ankle. One is green, one is red.
Oh, so that's the different sides.
Yeah, and so you'll see on the referee, he has a red wristband and a green wristband. Mm-hmm. And so when he gives points, I saw the other night, he gave points to green, and it should have been red. We were red, and they were green. But he gave points to green, and it should have been red. And he had to sit there and go back, and he was giving signals while he's trying to watch. And you've got the people at scores tables trying to follow him.
I felt bad for Tanisha for a bit. Coach Tucker, she like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Mean,
because I'm pretty sure she was just told, watch what the referee does, and just because he's holding up 3 or 2 or 1 or whatever,
Yeah.
So just watch him and do what he says, and yeah, it was all so quick. It was just I don't see how she got the hang of it after it got going, but I
it
know
did.
I couldn't
We
have.
even had a person out there yelling 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the clock and tapping the referee on the shoulder to let him know that the match is over
because
they couldn't hear the buzzard, and then you couldn't. Nobody knew what time the official time was ended for the round. And I tell you what, the one thing I really looked at and really liked, and you sit there and watch how these guys train, and you're thinking, man, they do a lot of running and this and that. But if you'll watch, and I can tell you, just by doing football stuff, you have activities where the guys will wrestle for just a little bit over something, trying to get. And what you find is, we had a wrestler, I can't remember who it was, and I'll learn these guys' names, but we had a wrestler go all 3 rounds, and actually had to go to the scoring to be determined, and it was 3 round at 2 minutes each, so that's 6 minutes, and the whole time you're using all your energy to either get out of a move, not get pinned, to hold a guy down. I mean, you're at 100% exertion of everything you have, and to do that, it's like people going into boxing. They'll sit there and go, "Oh man, I can box," and you actually make them box for 3 minutes, and then they get a 30-second break, and then come back and box again for 3 minutes. Normally, it's just 2, 3 rounds. That's why normally I don't think they have these tough man contests like they did back in the old days. But they used to have tough man contests where people pay to get in there and you just box. You have these amateurs. And normally it's 1 or 2 rounds, and that's it, because you're dead tired. You don't understand the energy that you exert. And so that's another reason why wrestling is a very good sport for your football players to compete in. And that's why, when I was younger, I said last week, I lived in Iowa, and wrestling was big up there. You wanted your lineman to wrestle, because if you saw that, now you can sit there and see how leverage and strength and hand strength and just to be in shape you have to be able to do wrestling. And that's why they do a lot of running, a lot of physical activity part of that. And I just think it's, of course it's going to get better. You're going to have some growing pains. You got kids that was wrestling for the first time ever. And now they have to understand how it goes, how the games or how the matches actually go, and kind of what you're up against. And it's not just your buddy, that you went out for the sport with. Now it's somebody else. And this is where, you go and you get classified by what you weigh. But maybe, you're weighing in at the 157-pound class, and this other guy's doing the same thing, but he's a senior and you're a sophomore, and he's more developed. He's stronger, whatever, and so that's an advantage there. So that's where the leverage and understanding that.
So you're saying like 157 pounds in muscle compared to
157, yeah,
or something. Just and
yeah,
that makes sense. You got a point there.
And so that's just where, you know, the age, you know, where people develop is different and everything. That's where I think Xander does a great job at what he's doing because he's small in stature. He's strong. He's, you know, he has that leverage to a point, and it's. I actually think it's harder for a bigger guy to actually wrestle than it is for a smaller guy. You know, just in my opinion. Now you can still be big. You can be 6'3" and, you know, 280 pounds type of kid. You know, and you just have to be quick and have to understand leverage. But again, that's just you know, from what I saw. But like you said, I don't know if I'm traveling to go see them, but I'm definitely going to try to catch every match that they play at home. And that's something that is going to be exciting to watch from here on out. And if you missed it,
we didn't even mention the mat.
Oh, the mat looked great.
Oh.
I did get a picture and did post it on the Facebook page. But the mat, you know, when I don't know when I excuse me, when we was talking about we had trouble getting a mat, and we said, you know, we had some people from the school board help us out trying to get a mat and everything.
Right.
I just thought it was going to be almost a used mat, maybe just a black mat with the white, you know, print on it and everything, just
Like
for
your kid going to gymnastics.
Yeah.
Good
Oh.
gosh. No beach.
But,
sailing.
Yeah, Liberty Creek say, hey, we'll let you borrow ours. Bring it
Oh,
in there and
man.
have all the red. And,
trying to maneuver that up the road, that'd be crazy. But to walk in and have a purple mat with our logo on it and the Panther head logo on it and everything like that, that was it was pretty sharp.
well, that raised the anticipation level as soon as I walked into the gym.
So that was, you know, again, exciting. And then, like you said, it's just the amount of people that showed up. And then when it got into a good part of the match, you know, everybody yelling and screaming, it was loud. You know, and we didn't have stands on the other half. You know,
Right.
the one side didn't have the stands open. It was just one side of the stands and the people that filled in. And
I was told 200. I just feel like it was more than that. I felt like it was more than 200, but
I didn't even hear it. So that, I mean,
I'd heard 200 was there.
I think everybody came out to see, and what I really did love is how everybody cheered for everyone
Right.
who wrestled
Right.
and everything.
We
You know.
cheered for them.
No.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. We cheered for each other.
Yeah, he's just saying we didn't cheer. They didn't cheer for their own kid and let it
Oh,
go.
yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
everybody that went up
You
for it.
know.
Yeah, wrestling fans, if you're really a wrestling fan, are pretty loyal to their whole team.
Well, to be new, that I guess that's what I'm looking at. To be new after everybody would sit there, and you know you're going to get cheering, you know. But I figured everybody's still trying to figure out what's
Knowing when
going
to
on.
cheer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
that was the big deal because I was like, something's happening, and
Well, what you
I
need to
feel
do
like
is
it-
you need to watch some college wrestling. And then
I-
that will get you to the level of
I may do that.
fanship that you need to be. Wrestling, we've talked about
It's
wrestling.
huge in the Midwest, right?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. We've
It
talked
is.
about wrestling on the air before.
Yep.
The only thing I ever worry about wrestling is, and we're not to that point of the program yet that I don't think that's going to happen, is when the lower weight players try to make weight and they make themselves throw up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like I said,
That's the part you have to be scared of. But it's a great sport, absolutely.
That was
Unbelievable. No, I mean, it really, it's a major thing. dude.
I've sat there and told football players that wrestling is one of the unhealthiest sports because of what you do trying to get to the weight class you want to be in.
Mm.
You know, because you wrestle the 157 class, and you decide to go have some pizza and cheeseburgers over the weekend and everything. And you got to weigh in. You wrestled Thursday, now you got to weigh in on Monday for a match. Or you did something over the weekend and ate a lot of pasta, and now all of a sudden you're 163. Now you moved up in a division, in a class, and now you're not wrestling the guys
Yeah.
that you normally. So
That's
what
the
you
key.
do?
Is if you wrestle healthy, it's a fantastic sport. You have to really work out a lot, conditioning, the hands, the foot. But when you get into it to a competitive level and you're trying to get to the lowest weight you possibly can, but still be strong, that's where it kind of gets dangerous for some people. Now, a lot of coaches that are really good coaches, you know, you weigh early, you do body fat checks, you write all this stuff down, and you can kind of keep up with, you can tell the kid's trying to bottom out for that, and you tell him, no, we're not, you know where you can go, right? You get a kid that's real chubby, and he's got a lot of body fat, and he loses weight naturally because he's working harder. That's totally different than a kid that's just dropping fast. He's either sick or he's dropping for the reason to get the lower end. And that's where, as a coach, our coach in high school would, when he would see that stuff, he would actually tell you, this is the weight you're wrestling, period, so quit trying it. And if you get to this, you're not wrestling anymore. He said, if you
So
don't belong
if
in
you're
the
at
lower
160
rate,
whatever, and you get down to 157,
he would
get
stop
upset
you.
with
Yes,
you
he
because
would.
knows
He wouldn't
this
let you
is where
wrestle.
You should be,
yeah, he wouldn't let you wrestle in that weight. When you show up and you weighed in and you could drop down, you were all pumped up like, yeah, I'm going to win this one because I'm just as strong as I ever was, but I'm thinner. He would disqualify you. He just would not let you wrestle because that's the coach's discretion. He can pull you anytime he wants to. And that's the thing. If a good coach watches that stuff, and the good thing about it here is since it's so new, that's when you start getting into state. Thinking about winning state championships and that kind of stuff. And that's the cool thing about heavyweight. Once you hit that weight and above, there ain't no weight. So you're big, huge linemen. You're 6'3", 6'4" guys that are really strong.
You're not cutting weight there.
Yeah, you're not cutting weight because you could lose 40 pounds and you'll still be where you need to be. Yeah, but wrestling is a beautiful sport except for that part of it.
And speaking of championships, what a coup for Principal Woods for the high school bringing in Coach Roberts that retired from Beach, multiple state championship individuals from Beach during his time. And I don't know how many years he's going to be able to keep him here, but I know there was several assistant coaches that I think he's kind of let run game day.
Yeah, if you
so
got
I think he's going to stay long enough to get those
right. If
ready
you
to
got
go.
helpers that are part of our staff or some of our teachers, or are they all volunteers?
I don't know.
They're not all teachers, no.
Okay, but if you can get at least one, and show them the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the thing about wrestling, it goes back to the Greek times, right? The Olympics, the original Olympics, Greek. That's where all this wrestling started.
It's called grappling back then.
Grappling, but a lot hasn't changed, so to speak. I mean, there's always little techniques here and there that kind of get introduced, but it's the basics are the basics, and they've been the basics for a long time. So if you can just get somebody comfortable as a coach in that stuff and comfortable coaching, sometimes just the part of being the coach during the match intimidates a lot of people. You know what I mean? They can do the back scene. So maybe that's what they're doing is grooming somebody for that role. But wrestling is an absolutely fantastic sport. And up here in Portland, I think it would go good because Portland is, it's a football town. So that means they like aggressive play, beating each other up and all that, which is cool because, I mean, it is. Football's a battle. And wrestling is a battle with no pads. You know what I mean? You can't punch, but man, you kind of can punch sometimes if you know what you're doing.
There was some chopping that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it hurts, dude. It's there's some stuff that can really happen quick. And if you're concentrating on all your upper moves, and a good wrestler understands the lower body technique, you get lower body guy who understands where to grab, and that, dude, it hurts when someone grabs your knee and does a twist on it. You may be the strongest guy up top, but your legs aren't strong. It's gonna hurt you very badly.
That's something, talking about the coaches. I watched Coach Roberts kind of sit back, and he had 3 or 4 assistants that were the ones really doing the coaching with the kids. And so I can see Coach Roberts coming in for 2 years, get it established, let these assistants understand this is what we did when we won a state. This is how we practice. This is what we wanted. This is what we're trying to develop. And like you said, making sure that he is seeing, he's overviewing everything that needs to be done. And it's going to be done in the correct way. And you groom these guys, and then you can go, okay, I'm going to step back out. I'm retiring again. And
fill out the lineup sheets. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on.
I mean, this is like
with any sport.
I don't know what class it was. We brought 2 wrestlers to the table. They brought 4, and they said some things. They went back, had a wrestler step out on the mat for Liberty Creek, and then Coach sat there and did the X with his arms, and all of a sudden they raised the Liberty Creek's guy's hand. So from what me and Kyle was kind of looking at, we're just assuming, is that we only had 2 wrestlers within these 2 weight classes or 3 weight classes or whatever it was. They had 4. We got to choose our 2 wrestlers on who they were going to wrestle. So we had 2 forfeits there, and then we wrestled 2, and so again, it goes back to, you thought, I guess if you have 5 people in the 163-pound weight class, and you only got one, you can't wrestle all 5.
That's right.
So you decide which one you want to wrestle, and you forfeit the other 3, 4, and then you wrestle the one that you want to wrestle. And
Or some
So that
people
makes-
wrestle up.
oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can't wrestle
You used
down.
to.
but
I
you can
didn't.
go
I
up.
don't think that's changed. If you weigh 145, you can wrestle 220-pound guy if you want to. It's not going to work out in your favor more, but it could, because you go wrestle someone that's not been in a
Yeah.
program long. You know, they don't know the moves. So
And that was another thing that was mentioned. I mean, all these teams are, I'm assuming most of these teams that we're going to have matches against have a middle school program. You know, we don't have that.
no,
If
middle
we
school
did,
programs
we
are
just
always
started,
good feeder
You
programs.
know,
Yeah.
so you don't, everybody we're playing or have matches against is going to have guys that wrestled for several years. Where we'll have some of this is my 5th match or whatever, and so it's going to be a growing pain, but you got to start somewhere. And I like the way they've got it set up. The assistant coaches, to me, looked like they knew exactly what they were doing, what they were supposed to do, and had control of
I
everything.
tell you one thing that's funny too. People always talk about baseball parents and stuff. You know, like on travel ball, wrestling parents
Oh no.
can get freaking right too. Let me just tell you, you'll see, when you go to state tournament, the state meet,
Yeah.
and watch that going on, the parents get into it as much. I mean, they're wrestling themselves. You know, husband and wife never sat together. It's like, because they'll start. I mean, it's funny, but it's great because you know what? If the expectations start with parents, if the parents have no expectations of their kid, how is their kids going to have expectations? But the wrestling parents can get pretty rowdy at times, really rowdy. It's fun. Wrestling is a fantastic sport.
I'm looking forward to it. I know it may take a couple of years to get going, but I'm looking forward to it. And hey, you'll be available whenever they're looking for a middle school coach, right?
Middle school wrestling coach?
Yes.
I would
And
help.
I've already put your name in.
I would help. I wouldn't be the head coach, but I would help probably.
Too late.
Well, I'm not going to be the head coach. One is I don't know, but I would help them. Yeah.
I'm not too happy with your negative attitude.
I have no negative attitude, dude. There's absolutely no negative attitude going on at this location here.
But you would help?
Yeah, I would help.
Awesome.
We just got to figure out how to get that going.
No, not me, but
Well, you're the one who said you volunteered me. Who did you volunteer me to?
it's a long story.
Well, with that, guys, we're going to take another break. This time I know it's only 30 seconds, so we'll be ready when we come back.
We can do them all over and over and over. I don't
Do
care.
it. Do it. See how it happens.
But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Friday Night Lights, the playoff quarterfinal round of last night's playoff games in TSSAA football. You're listening to Off the Rails Sports Saturday on the Panther Sports Network. Welcome back, Panther fans. Again, you're listening to Off the Rails here on the Portland Sports Network. Going from wrestling to football, let's talk about the TSSAA state playoffs in football. Quarterfinal round happened last night. It was funny because I was sitting there thinking last night, going, man, it's going to be pretty nasty playing on a game night like this. You know, just all the rain that we've gotten over the last 2-3 days. It wasn't too cold, but you know, when you get wet and you get out there, it's going to make yourself, you know, colder than what it is, and just kind of a nasty football weather, which is fun to play in to a point. I ended up watching Page and Beach on TV on my 30 TV there. Great game. Beach came out strong, jumped ahead 14-0. Page just fought their way back, and I just think, you know, when you measure athlete to athlete, that's where Page and that's where Beach ends up winning a lot of their games. And so when Beach ends up having to play someone who can match up athlete to athlete with them, that's where I think they fall short a lot of times. Excuse me, just by watching. Because they can go into a game, talking about Beach, they can go into a game and run their 3 or 4 run plays and a couple of their pass plays, and it's okay because they can out athlete a lot of teams. But once you start getting deep into the playoffs, when you can't out-athlete them, and then you have to scheme against somebody, and you're not used to that. I think it's tough for a team to be able to play catch-up. I think last night you actually had something that happened last night in that game, Beach and Page, was there was a scuffle there at the end because it got chippy. I started watching it get kind of chippy there.
A lot of chippy.
I started in the fourth quarter, and it was DK Williams for Beach, who was doing a lot of little things there late and everything. And I'm not saying Page was innocent either. I saw them do some stuff too, but it got real chippy. And a lot of people will sit there and say DK got thrown out in the fourth quarter. Everybody's, well, it's end of the season. You know, it ain't no big deal. No, that ejection will go into next year. So their first game of the year, next year, week 0, which I think they should play Green Hill, DK Williams will not be available for the first half because of the ejection in the playoffs. That's how it goes. That will carry over until next season. And so there was a second player ejected, looking at the referee, but his mic wasn't on. It was so crazy at that time because the bench is cleared, everybody came out to the field, and they were trying to get everybody off the field and get control and everything. The referee's mic wasn't on. You could see his mouth sit there and say number 44 for Beach ejected, and then you couldn't see what he said on the second player ejected. They thought it might have been the Knight kid from Page, but it wasn't. The broadcasting crew got clarification it was not him, so it had to be someone else who got ejected. They never did say who that second person was. I'm sure it was from Page. But there was a lot of personal fouls going on in that game. But it was just one of those where, you know, Beach ended up going ahead, I believe it was 21-17, and with a long pass and everything, and Page came right back and hit a 87 or 84 yard pass. Poor tackling on Beach. But that brought him ahead right there, and that's how it ended. And there at the end, there was a tip ball interception for Beach. They threw an interception, tip ball, and interception right there, and that's what kind of sealed the game for Page, and that's where the little incident happened where everybody got into a scuffle there. But it ended well, and because it ended well as in everybody was able to shake hands and didn't have to worry about anything else happening, and that's what I was saying. And they all came to the middle of the field and they all huddled together and had a prayer and then went on to their. But a lot of the scores, a lot of surprising scores, you know, to me they were surprising. Looks like a lot of teams from the Middle Tennessee area had their season in last night. A lot of people who thought, you know, these teams were going a long ways and everything. And so, Coach, have you got the scores?
Yeah, we'll go Class 1A. Cofield over Self Creek 40-7. South Pitt, like they always do, 45-0 over Clay County. I was kind of surprised it was that big of a difference. But anyway, I may go to South Pitt next week and watch a game. If they're at home, I have to look and see. McKenzie 24, Richland 21. The reason I go to South Pitt is they say, my guy down there said they got a big jumbotron in the high school stadium. So I'm really interested. I'm going to go ahead and tell him to send me a picture of that thing. But I'm interested in seeing that. And what's really wild too is if you think about it, South Pitt and Marion County is probably 30 minutes from each other apart. And for them to get, one, to have programs on that level so close together, you know, and then two is I'm pretty sure they fill the stands really good. But anyway, McKenzie over Richland 24-21, which was one of the few really close games because there were a lot of blowouts this week.
McKenzie is over there, excuse me, by Westview, by UT Martin.
Yep.
They actually
McKenzie Banking's one of our customers.
They
one of my customers, I'm sorry.
They actually won state. I think within 5 years ago. I can remember. So they've had a good program going on there for a while.
It's a cool little town too. Fayetteville over Memphis Middle College 43-20. Eagleton over Bledsoe County 24-23. Marion County clobbered Gordonsville 42-14. Huntington beat East Robb pretty good 42-20. So East Robb season's over, way short of their expectations because this senior class is one that they were thinking would go all the way to state. And by the way, Coach Brooks' son signed a scholarship with Bowling Green, I believe. I'm doing that off the head. So
yep.
Congratulations to Cade there. on a scholarship. I actually thought he would go to baseball somewhere on a scholarship because he's a very, very gifted baseball player.
I think a lot of people thought that's where he would go, and I know he's had some smaller school offers, but Bowling Green was the D1 offer that he got. And
But the thing about baseball is you don't.
Is
You
that where
don't.
George is at?
that's where, that's where
Yeah,
he's
Eddie
at.
George
That's
is
also,
coaching.
and it helps. And now don't get me wrong when I say this. It also helps that assistant coach for Bowling Green, his son is also the office coordinator for East Rock.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, that it
but
doesn't
what-
hurt, but hey,
but what it
that
did-
doesn't get you on the field. And
Thank
that's
you.
going to
Yes,
be the
that's
key.
what I was getting ready to say.
Going to school
It-
don't mean crap.
it
Getting on
allows-
the field is what means crap.
It
So
allows,
him an
hey,
opportunity.
you need to come down and see this kid, Pops.
Yes.
And if Pops ain't gonna come down, then have somebody else come down and look at this kid.
Well, that's the reason a lot of private
And,
school
um,
kids get hooked up really good is their alumni. They really adopt those kids every, like if my kid's on the team with your
Right.
kid, I love your kid just as much as my kid as far as trying to get him to the next level. So they reach out to the people that they know, where a lot of other schools, it's almost like they're jealous of the other kid, right?
I mean,
and
and
it is
so-
what it is. People can get mad at me, but I've seen it firsthand where they don't really want your kid to go to the next level, so they're not going to reach out to anybody, or they don't have connections. But private school, they take a lot of pride in getting all their kids recruited. And so, yeah, any way you can get a look is a good way to get a look. And all because you get on campus doesn't mean you're going to play. But getting on campus is key. If you get on campus, then you have an opportunity to play. So I think he's going to do great. He's got great speed. He's a hard worker. His character is
He's
off
an
the
athlete.
charts. He's a great athlete. And, I personally thought he was a better baseball player. See, and a lot of people get freaky out where they want those signed now. And a lot of times baseball guys, they don't sign you till, you can sign at any time past the signing date. You can't sign before the signing date. You can commit, but you can't sign. But once in baseball season in the spring, you can sign at any time. So just relax if you really want to play baseball and give those offers chances to come in. But anyway, their season's over. Milan, that a lot of people picking to win the state championship in that division, beat East Nashville 38-21. In 3A, Gatlinburg Pittman beat Megas County 34-30. Tyner Academy out of Chattanooga beat Giles County 34-20. Covington over Dyersburg 42-13. Westview over Melrose 44-6. And obviously Westview's got the little quarterback, his brother's at Alabama,
Yeah, Simpson.
Simpson. So I
Yep.
think he's starting, and a lot of people are starting to jump on him. 4A Greenville over Anderson County 28-21.
That's a big one there.
Yeah, Alcoa beat Red Bank out of Chattanooga 38-13.
Well, the thing about the Alcoa though, Anderson County is the one team that beat Alcoa at week 11 to give Alcoa their one loss this year. So that's why the Greenville, and the thing is, Greenville has had a good team the last several years. It's something I know you haven't got to 5A yet, but one thing in
Give
5A,
it away. No, I'm kidding.
the team that was getting a ton of love at the start of the season was Sevier County. They were getting a ton of love, and also Gatlinburg Pittman was getting a lot of love for 5A, being dominant for 5A, and then they just kind of fell off, as in not getting any talk, and everybody started talking about Page. And then Page has become now the favorite. Everybody's thinking will win the state, but you've got two teams over in the east in 5A with Sevier County and also Gatlinburg Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman's 3A.
Okay.
They won
Sevier
that game.
County's 5A. That's the one
Right.
that was really, everybody was talking about.
In Greenville,
But,
it's up in East Tennessee.
Oh,
and I've
yeah.
been up there. It's a nice community, and they really support their program like we do here in Portland.
Anyway, didn't want to.
No, you're good. Pearl Cone, 33-7 over Marshall County. This one surprised me. I knew South Gibson was a pretty good team because they played FRA tough for a half, but FRA's pulled away in the second half earlier in the year. But South Gibson put Springfield out of it, 27-21. Page beat Beach. It was a really close game. Beach actually went ahead in the fourth quarter, or late in the third quarter, but I think it was the fourth on
I
a
think that
long
was up
touchdown
14-0
pass.
too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they started out
early.
14-0.
Yeah, and then Page caught up, and then Beach separated again, and then Page just woke up. I mean, the fourth quarter, they totally dominated Beach. They really did.
Well-
After that touchdown pass that Beach got, that long bomb, after that, it was over. It's like Page just turned,
Well,
the coach turned a switch on.
They mentioned that last night on the broadcast that Beach needs to use a little bit more, other than the running, and that's where I was getting at. Beach relied on Powell to run the quarterback power. Relied on, they had Shelton Swafford there. He came back from the broken collarbone. He was able to play, but he only had 4 or 5 carries. The thing is Powell was your workhorse, and if you could stop him and make tackles, that's where athletes playing athletes.
Yeah,
Guess what? You're now not
good
breaking
programs
tackles.
are going to stop one-dimensional teams.
And
easy.
so, what I was surprised was Beach had a decent passing game. It wasn't the greatest, but Powell has an arm.
He's got a good arm.
He can roll out. And normally, what they want to do is they roll him out, and if the pass ain't there, he's taking off and running. So now he's out in space running. He has power and he has speed for his size. So they didn't do that a lot last night. I don't know because it was the wet conditions, if there was something else going on, but you thought you would see more of that there in the second half, because I think Beach became, like you said, one-dimensional for what they were doing, and Page was able to stop them, and then Page started making plays. The biggest play, I think, was not only that 87-yard touchdown that Page got, was a little slip screen they ran on 4th down, or 3rd down it was, 3rd and long, or 4th down and long, and they were able to pick up almost like 20, 30 yards on it, and that was in the 4th quarter, and that's what kept their drive alive to end the game and everything. That was a big play right there. So, but
right. And Centennial, the big surprise Cinderella story. I think one of them in the playoffs, their coach Jay Graham got fired, released near the end of the season, and how those kids would turn around if they would, pick it up. They obviously have, and their coaches have done a good job. They beat down Henry County. It was close for a while, but they won 45-24. So it was a pretty easy win.
Yeah, Centennial, what, 5-5 going into the?
yeah,
something like that?
Yeah, I think they're now 7-4 maybe, or
Nolensville was second.
Yeah, Centennial played Station Camp in that first round.
yeah.
That's
So
who we would have played.
they had a 7-4 record. Would that add up now? Two postseason wins, 7-4.
Okay.
That's
Would that be
11.
12, 11? So they're 7-5 maybe.
4 is not 12, but
Well, I'm asking. I'm still.
you're a tech guy, not a math guy.
Well, apparently so. But hey, I do got the echo fixed, and people can't hear you, so. And
So
I
you're-
think the last 30
so you're a
minutes we ought to
physics guy,
hook up
too.
the stream and go live with it and see if we can do that. Since
That's
we're
a
not,
terrible
can you
idea.
imagine early me going back and forth? They'd have seen my rear end more than they would have seen me.
Well,
my
we
face.
got it audio. We got the video going.
We
We'll
do.
We'll edit.
We do.
I can't edit that.
Oh, you can't edit all
I
that.
can't edit that.
I'm
out,
anxious,
but,
I'm anxious to go on. But
Maybe you
anyways,
can put a little sign that says technical difficulties every time you would
Yeah.
pass it. And,
but we could go live in 30 minutes.
No, we
30
can't.
minutes
Keep
live show. Blackman over Maryville, 31-7.
I think that was a surprise. Everybody was
Yeah,
surprised.
I mean Blackman has been I think a really big surprise, to be honest with you. Oakland, not a surprise, beat Green Hill, which is a surprise, 20-17. I mentioned earlier in the year I thought Green Hill would win a couple playoff games, but I didn't think they'd go as far as they did because whatever. Ravenwood beat Whitehaven 20-12. Southwind 42, Collierville 21. In Division II, Single A, University School of Jackson beat Providence Christian, which I have no clue what Providence Christian is, 31-12. Nashville Christian, the big kid that's going to Georgia, 41. Trinity Christian, where I don't know where that is either, 41-7. In Division II, 2A, Franklin Road Academy and Michael Hassel beat. It's not Louisiana. They said it last night on the air.
Lasan.
Yes, Lasan, 49-21. That was close early, but Franklin Road Academy scored a touchdown with 2 seconds left in the first half. They went for a field goal. They've got their coach did a freeze kind of deal where they try to get them jump off sides on a field goal try, which is kind of new. I mean, a lot of people don't really coach that up, but they coached it up and they got them to jump. And then they went. It was 4th and 4, 25 seconds left in a half. They lined up for a field goal. They got him to jump, got the first down, so they had 22 seconds left to try a couple plays, and Franklin Road Academy scored, and that just kind of went from there. Anyway, this is a huge surprise to me. BGA over Boyd Buchanan, 49-3. So Franklin Road Academy and BGA will play for the state championship. They met earlier in the season. Everybody had BGA to win that game early in the year, and Franklin Road Academy won it. So I'm definitely going there on December 4th. They'll play at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 10 a.m. Central Time, at Finley Stadium in Chattanooga. I will be there.
I love how John talks out loud to himself.
Well, so my company's Eastern time, and that just drives me crazy when you got all these Zoom calls.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a Zoom call at 10. Well, wait a minute, that means 11 for me, right? And then when I set a Zoom call, I set it for Central Time, so I got to tell my Eastern people, don't forget it's blah blah blah. But anyway, so that's going to be a good game. Hopefully, Franklin Road Academy will get them the state championship, and send that senior class. Even though I said the junior class is the better of the classes, but I don't know. Michael Hassel, I don't have his stats, but he played a phenomenal game last night. So in Division II, 3A, Baylor beat McCauley 56-35. That's the game. To me, that's the state tournament of the boarding schools, because I think that's the only two we have in Tennessee. So that would be.
I was just gonna say that's just. I don't know what you do with Baylor. They should dominate.
But McCauley, that's the only team that they would give them a fight if they could. And that kid for Baylor running the football, George, I think is his last name. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But I've seen some tapes of him. He's unbelievable running back. He reminds me a little bit of Gerald Turner, believe it or not. But he's totally phenomenal. Brentwood Academy over CPA. You know, CPA got picked on. They were in the lower division 2A, and TSSAA said, no, you're winning this too much, or you're moving up, regardless of how much population in your school you got. And they've had a rough year, but they made it to the semis, but they got beat 38.
Is that what happened with them?
They were forced to move up. Yeah, they didn't want to move up.
So why don't they do that with anybody else, like Alcoa?
Well,
Alcoa
I think one of those schools, one of the public schools were forced to move up.
And
I'm not sure which one it was, but one of them that was winning all the time.
Now I do know, like
what's Alcoa? They used to be
Alcoa
3A.
They moved
sure
up.
they wouldn't force.
They voluntarily moved up. Yeah. Mostly when you move up, you voluntarily move up.
They force them up.
You can move down, but you have to go through a hearing on why you want to move down and everything. But I've never really known for the state to make someone move up just because they're winning. Because I mean, when you're Alcoa and you sit there and you win 14 out of the last 16 state championships, and I mean that's a heck of a reason to sit there and tell someone to move up.
Yeah,
you know,
no doubt.
But they did it on their own there, and most people, like your Clarksville schools, they all moved up on their own, Northeast, Northwest, and all them, so that their region would be the Clarksville region.
Yeah,
and
that's
all their
poor
games.
Administration right there.
And that is.
They made it easier for them, the
Traveling.
money wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not fair to the kids either. So your playoff games next week: 1A South Pitt at Caulfield, Fayetteville at McKenzie. I picked South Pitt and I picked McKenzie. 2A, you guys have picks?
Who's the teams?
South Pitt at Caulfield.
I go with South Pitt.
Yeah, Fayetteville at McKenzie.
I go McKenzie.
Okay, and we'll do next week who's going to win that state championship. Marion County at Eagleton.
I go Marion County.
I do too. Huntington at Milan.
I go Huntington.
I'm going Milan. So Kyle, don't forget that's what we picked. 3A Tyler Academy out of Chattanooga at Gatlinburg Pittman.
I go Pittman.
My wife's probably saying, let's go watch that game, even though we've got nobody there, but it's in Gatlinburg over Chattanooga. I'm picking, I don't know, I'm picking Tyner, believe it or not. Covington at Westview.
Westview.
It's going to be a good game, though, isn't it?
Should be. Covington's always had a tough team.
Yeah, I'm going Covington. I'm going with the two road teams. That's suicide if you're betting money, but I'm doing it anyway. 4A Alcoa at Greenville.
I go Alcoa.
I think Alcoa. How can you not go with Alcoa? South Gibson at Pearl Cone.
Yeah.
I'll go with Pearl Cone. I'll go with local.
I'm going with the winner of that game wins it all. I'd say that.
Over Alcoa?
I think they can.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Alcoa is good. They got good athletes. They didn't impress me against who they played.
They were playing down. They didn't want to show you what they had. I don't know.
No, Upperman gave them a heck of a battle.
I'll go. South Gibson surprises me, but I'm going Pearl Cone at home. It'll be. Never mind. I'm not going to say what's going across my mind right now about playing at Pearl Cone. 5A Knox Hall at Sevier County. Or Sevier County.
Yeah.
I don't know about either one of them. Sevier County is who I'm going with. Centennial at Page, that's a no-brainer. You never know about Centennial
No, Page is not gonna lose to the final game.
Yeah, I agree. I know that's.
I would
who
say
they
that's
said.
in their own district, their own region.
Yeah, they've already
So-
beat them once. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Centennial obviously is better with no Jay Graham around. 6A, you got Blackman and Oakland. On paper, that would be a no-brainer. I wonder what the score was when they played each other earlier. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
I can.
But on
Give me
paper,
a minute. I can tell
on
you.
paper, you got to take Oakland, right? Just going into the season, I think them and Ravenwood were the two teams you would think was going to win the state championship, and then Southwind at Ravenwood.
Southwind, one of those schools that went up from 5A to 6A.
Yep.
And now look how far they're going.
Yep.
Some of those that interesting, going back to some of the early ones, yeah, East Robertson going out was kind of a big deal, but I think those that watch, if you said, hey, pick a couple of teams that you think could beat East Robertson in the playoffs, I think that team would have been one of them. That
Right.
people would have chosen and said, hey, I think this team could give them a hard time, and sure enough they did.
So
No,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Springfield going out, I mean,
That surprised me.
them moving down to 4A.
Was set them up to win the state
Immediately,
championship.
everybody had them
Yeah.
in the championship game. So that's surprising to see that they went out when they did. Although that is a very good team that beat them. Was that South Gibson that beat them?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, South Gibson ranked in the top 1 and 2 pretty much
Yeah.
the whole
When
season.
South Gibson gave FRA a hard time,
Right.
that's showed me that they were real.
And Pearl Cone started off the season 0 and 4. And
Yeah,
now
but their
look where they're at.
schedule's killer.
It was ridiculous. But,
Keeping
and
your
now look
kids
at 'em.
motivated when you're losing is hard.
Henry County out. Gotta wonder, losing their coach.
Yeah, I think they went further
you
than
know,
they
which,
probably would.
I think they
I
went
think
further
they- I
than what
think
people
they-
thought.
Yeah, I think they overachieved, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion.
Going back to the Springfield game, it's kind of the same thing with Beach. You have a good running game. I know you got Cobbins as a receiver, but have you been using Cobbins like you really need to be? And did they sit there and get their run game stopped and got into a
And their
passing
running back's
situation?
hurt too, and their stud running back got hurt 3 weeks ago.
I don't know.
For some reason, I think so. But
And then
I
you
didn't
start,
see the
if
stats
you
on
start
that game.
double coverage in Cobbins, because you got to pass, you played right into what everybody wants you to do, But you got to stop the run first, and if that's what they did, and that's what they
And
did.
if you can put some pressure on the quarterback, that sets the tone. for
But go back to the Oakland Blackman. Blackman has only lost one game. They're 9-1,
And they lost to
and
Oakland,
they lost
right?
to Oakland,
What
and the
was it?
score
Did you
was
find it?
32-0. Oakland beat them 32-0.
I don't think that's going to
So
change.
that
It may be a
was,
half the difference, but they're
1,
not gonna-
2, 3, 4.
They're not going to
5,
make up a
6.
32
That was
point.
game 6.
What
for
was that,
Oakland and
home or
Blackman.
away? Did it say even though they're both live in Murfreesboro, so it doesn't matter. You had to drive 5 minutes to get to the game.
I believe it was at Oakland.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. No, it was at Blackman.
Right. So then Oakland's going to win that ball game. The Blackman may score a couple touchdowns, but I see Oakland winning. And then the state championship games, which they'll get a week off before that starts on Thursday, is University School of Jackson will play Nashville Christian at 3 p.m., which I wish was the time for the next game. Franklin Road Academy at BGA at 11 a.m. And then the championship of Division II 3A is Baylor at Brentwood Academy. Brentwood Academy really did a good job of turning their program around. It's really weird when you get to those private school deals where you can recruit kids to come in. It's just open market. How the worm turned so much, because early on Brentwood Academy was the program in Nashville. You know what I mean? They were on the top. NBA was first, then Battleground Academy started their charter, and then all of a sudden with Carlton Flat, they became the
started
dog.
winning.
And then all those schools started opening up, and it's just weird how
But
it just kind of goes in cycles.
It kind of goes. So let's go off the rails here because they hadn't really done it. But it starts with
I thought this whole show's been off the rails. I'm kidding.
with the private schools. It goes. I believe what goes on is, like you said, NBA, BGA. And then you had Brentwood Academy come around, and because they started winning, you started having the bigger schools at that time. And I'm talking in the 80s right now because they were dominant. And that's another reason why a lot of teams wanted the private schools in their own sector, because the private schools were out here winning. And back then you only had 3 classifications, 1A, AA, and AAA. And you had them winning all those classifications all the time. And they knew it wasn't fair because of how they were able to go out and recruit. And then, of course, their argument was, we don't recruit, but you're able to give scholarships. So that's recruiting, it is what it is. But when you start getting the colleges to come around, when you start getting, why do people sit there and go, hey, I'm going to transfer over to East Rock? Why are you transferring to East Rock? Because they have schools that come in because all the Groves kids that have been there, okay?
Yeah,
So
they
what do you
started
do?
that chain. We were that way in
Exactly.
baseball back in the 99, 98.
Coaches will come in until you pick the tree dry, and when the tree's dead, and I'm not talking just about growth, but just because the program itself.
If the program drops, they'll stop coming.
Yes, and so what's going to happen then is they go on to the next one. So why does everybody sit there? And so what happened with Brentwood Academy was they had all these D1 schools coming in, getting their guys and everything, so everybody wants to go there. And all of a sudden you had newer private schools opening up, and these people started transferring and everything. And now what you're seeing is you got these athletes who won't transfer just to the private school; they'll transfer just to another high school. I was talking with another coach in the yesterday, and we were talking about Cobbins, and we're saying that it could be a possibility where Cobbins goes someplace his senior year. By the time he's a senior, he's only a sophomore. You can see him as a senior playing somewhere else other than Springfield, just because even though he's gotten offers from all the D1 schools, he's now looking for a championship. If he doesn't feel by the time he's a junior or senior doesn't have that championship, does he move? And because all you got to do is have show address change.
Yeah,
and have family.
I don't think he'll move. He won't move next year for sure because Woodson's back, and I think him and Woodson is going to have a show every game they play next year. But we'll see.
But that's just something that's part of the system now. That's like NIL with
It is
college.
what it is.
It is what it is.
And that's why a lot of people can get mad at me, and I don't care if they're mad at me, because if they're mad at me, they probably were before we started. But it's the same thing as kids. When you got a kid growing up and they're a really good athlete, and they're in a county that's open, they look at the programs. Why wouldn't you? If you were zoned, and see, we're zoned for a whole county, right? Before you hit high school, you could pick your school. And if you think about it, and I know there's some people like Curtis, he just sent me this, and I'm going to say it in a minute, but Curtis is Portland through and through, and I love that, and I'm Portland through and through too. But if you've got a kid, your kid always comes first. It is, if you've had a kid, you know what I'm talking about. And so if you've got a kid that's a fantastic basketball player, and you live over there in Westmoreland that doesn't get anything, there's nobody ever get recruited. Even when they had good basketball programs over there, they didn't go anywhere. And you see that. You've been sitting there for 40, 50 years, and then you've got a program here in Portland that you got a kid, one play pro basketball, Corey Brewer, and then the coaches with some experience. You see that. You want to move over to Portland. You want your kid to have an opportunity to get to the next level. Now, there are some people that feel like their kid could maybe make the whole program change in their community, so they stay with the kids around them, that kind of thing. But I don't fault anybody for any decision they make. If they want to go to a proven program, then who am I to chastise somebody for doing that? If you want to stay in your town, who am I to chastise you for doing that? It's just, that's the thing. Too many people have opinions about too much stuff going on. My son had an opportunity to go to Good Pasture or BGA on a scholarship. Good Pasture, the coach was leaving. They started going non-financial aid because we couldn't afford it. I'm telling you straight out. BGA gave him a full scholarship offer and MBA, but how am I going to get him down there every day? And we didn't want him to be in a boarding type environment staying with a friend. So we chose Portland, and I chose Portland because two reasons. One is the kids that he was playing with, I coached them since they were 6 years old. I knew we had a great program, and I knew Coach Barham wasn't going to mess it up, so to speak. He was a really good coach. He was limited on his baseball knowledge. I think he would tell you that too, but he was good on coaching knowledge, as far as making the kids be accountable, let them do their thing. The kids already knew how to play. That's part of the 2000 state championship football here. They already knew how to work hard. They knew all of that kind of stuff. So I felt good high school-wise. My son's experience here was going to be what it needed to be. So I didn't feel the need that I needed to run anywhere else just because I was trying to showcase him. And he was in a really good, solid summer program. So I knew that was where you get a lot of your looks too. So, but I don't get on to anybody for deciding they wanted to go somewhere else. I know when Danny Thompson quit coaching up here, we had a lot of families move out of the area because they didn't feel baseball-wise they were going to get where they needed to get. It is what it is. It's totally true. And we struggled with it up here for a while, trying to fill in the blanks. And hopefully with Coach Stein coaching here, the worm's turning the other direction where we can start getting those families to stay in the communities. And they just do subtle things. They move, right? What's the difference between 10 miles down the road on Robertson County and Sumner County, right? If you think their baseball program is better on paper, you move 10 miles. People do that for their kids when they can afford
Look
it.
at when Station Camp came around, the kids of Gallatin lost. By zoning, they lost, but by people moving to the Station Camp zone. That's why it's bitter right now down there, that rival
The
in
Liberty
Gallatin.
Creek?
No, it's Station Camp in Gallatin.
Right.
Because when it first started, man, I remember reading when Station Camp opens up, you got a lot of players, you got a lot of people going, he should be at Gallatin. This kid here should be at Gallatin. He went over there because he's living with his aunt now or he's using his aunt's address and everything. And a lot of speculation, and whatever it was. When you have a school open up so close
Right.
to another school, you're going to have that. And so, same thing with Liberty Creek, compared to, where they're getting their people. And people just want to go to a newer school. They think a newer school, you have better things, and you're going to find out you don't have better things. It's
Right.
still the same system. It's still the same county running that school. It might look pretty on the outside, but,
Right.
it
And some
might
go
miss.
for coaching. They think maybe
Yeah.
the staff they put in place is a better staff than what they had at the certain area. You know what I'm
But,
saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
And my thing is, I'm not going to fault anybody for either way, because I understand when you have a kid, sometimes those blinders are on with that kid, and you want to do what's best for the kid. And sometimes you make mistakes, and sometimes you don't make mistakes. But I'm not going to chastise anyway. And let's just so I don't forget, and I don't want to disrespect Curtis in any way, because he does an unbelievable job at going to the games, reporting and everything. But PHS girls play today at 1 and 4, and the boys play at 2:30 and 5:30 at Gallatin.
I knew they played at Gallatin. They just didn't have
Thanks,
they didn't
Curtis.
have the times. So I'm glad we got that. Y'all going?
No.
You got games you're
I'm
watching?
sorry,
this morning?
yeah. I've told you this before. Everybody who listens to this show, Saturday in football season, man, college football is my baby. College baseball is over everything. But college football, I absolutely love it.
What time does Tennessee lose today?
Tennessee's not losing today.
Oh my goodness!
I noticed that you don't have orange on.
They got the late.
You bring orange on like just when they win. When they put like last week, you had orange going on when we played New Mexico State, but there's no orange on at all on a tough game.
I'm just glad I don't have to listen to Rocky Top at the end of the program.
Well, I have that on here because I got it. I'm going to play it at the end
All
of the
right.
program.
Okay.
No, really, I don't have it.
But you can get it.
Yeah, no, this isn't a Rocky Top program. This is Portland High School program. I do want to get do we have a stage band? They need to play, or I need to get them to record the Portland Fight song.
We have the pep band.
Pet band, we need
Yeah.
to get them to record that for us, and then we can close out our shows with that. Because that's what we're really here for. It's Portland area stuff. Knoxville's kind of Portland area, but that's kind of after. We do college after we're done
Kinda.
with the local stuff. And I actually got games for today later.
Uh.
But yeah, I love Portland High School basketball. If you
Well-
don't know that by now, you haven't been paying attention. But my college football fix, it's got to get done.
The so staying with a little bit of the football stuff, I can announce that Avery Hughes was officially invited. He got his official invite earlier this week to Navy. Is bringing him in for his they always bring you in for a game, and you kind of you look at what game they bring you in on how much they're really have love for you. And so his invite is to the Army-Navy game, and that's going to be, that's the one game that you, in my opinion, if you're one of those two schools, that's the game. If you're the home team, that's the game, because you can't invite recruits to an away game. You invite your recruits to that game there, and that's how you know where you're at
But
on the
you don't
scale.
get to visit the campus.
He already visited campus.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. If you got a kid that has got 10 schools in his one visit, if he's not committed to you, do you want him to come on campus? Like last week, they played a good team.
So what you do is, if
But
you're really
like his mom said, Army, you don't want them to come on campus because they realize they're in the middle of nowhere and can't get out. So you wanna bring them to Philadelphia and go, wow, man, this is pretty cool.
So the thing is he's had his official visit where they paid for everything for him, the flight and everything for him to happen. Now this is a unofficial visit, but it's an invite. It's a game day visit, so it's going to be Avery and his stepdad and his grandfather that are going. That's the three that are going. You get 3 people. The tickets are paid for, and everything else you have to pay for. You know, family has to pay for and everything. But that's the visit you really want. So that just really shows you what. And the thing is after Avery had his knee injury, he called the recruiter, you know, that's recruiting him and everything, and told him what happened. And he said, "Thanks for letting us know. You're still our guy. We still want you." And you know, and the thing is, when you go to maybe a service academy, it's different because you're going there not just to play sports, but for the everything else that you know, and they can do that and go, "Hey, we still want you. Yeah, you can't play for us as a freshman, but you can sit there and be redshirted, and then you got 4 more years to play."
I think
But
that would be
we
phenomenal
still,
for him.
you know, we're still going to sit there. We want you to play ball for us because we still think you can do that. You watch another school, say, you know, Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, Tennessee. You have a kid who has an injury like that, and they're going, "Hey, you know what? We can't bring you in because we got to have you play right away." You shouldn't have to have a player in high school play right away if the NIL stuff you got with the transfer portal and everything. You're going to have kids come in quickly and play. So you shouldn't, a high school kid, you should not be going, "I got to have you
And
play
they don't
right
make
away."
many kids like that anyway. It's a good program like Navy that you're just maybe a running back like the George kid down at Baylor, but that doesn't happen often.
But sitting there talking about the Army-Navy game, I love how that is done. Everything about it. You know, they just now this past week they both showed what they're going to be wearing. They're both what do you call it? Celebrating the 250 years of America.
Yeah, they actually agreed on something pregame. That's
And,
kind of unusual.
And so, you know, normally like you was talking about, Coach Lair, Army will celebrate a division or
Yeah, I
you know,
absolutely
in
adore
there in that, and so in the Army, the Navy will do the same thing. And but this year they're doing 250 years of service and all that, and looking at to me, I know people who has ties to the Army and the Army and the academy there. You know, I don't. Their uniforms this year are not impressive. I will have to say that the helmets for the Navy is just amazing. What they've got going on with their helmets, I'll have to grab a picture and put it on the Facebook page and show you. But I just think that's really great that, you know, he gets to experience that, because that's one game. You know, if I had a bucket list of games to go to or stadiums to go to, would be a Army-Navy game to be able to watch it. I have a nephew who went to the Academy for Army, went to West Point, got to sit there and march into the stadium and sit into the crowd and do all that and be a part of that as part of the school. And I think that is just something to watch in person would be amazing to see, is to watch the cadets come in
That's
for both
phenomenal.
schools. Yeah. And then, you know, just the game itself, you know, how they do it. The only game that's on that weekend, they put it to make sure that everybody, you know, that's the only football game that's going on that weekend, other than maybe some FCS, you know, playoff teams that are playing and stuff like that. But to have that and to see that, you know, live in person is just a great thing, and I think that's great that they did invite him to the game, and that's the game that they chose. And it just wasn't just a game like that. And I think the other game that you'll see that you'll have your big recruits coming in would be the Navy Notre Dame game. Whenever Notre Dame has to play at Navy, and they play that at a neutral site also. But that's, you know, you get to invite your recruits on that one there too. So
Yeah, that's cool. So this year for Army, 250th anniversary. Last year I have the hoodie, 101st Airborne, which is dear to me because my dad was in the 101st Airborne and he passed in Vietnam. Fighting for them. 2023 3rd Infantry Division, 2022 1st Armored Division, 2021 Special Forces Command, 2020 25th Infantry. That was also the one that I've got a hoodie for. If you ever see my green hoodie, that was a division I was with. They were actually in Fort Lewis, Washington at one time, and then moved out to Hawaii. 2019 1st Cavalry Division, 2018 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, 2017 10th Mountain Division, in 2016 is when they first started doing it. 82nd Airborne. So I think that's really cool. Every year, each group picks a division that they're honoring, and then they have as much theme as they possibly can with that division. And I think that is just one of the coolest things that I've ever seen in my life. Navy does the same thing. They'll pick, you know, a certain division in the Navy area, and they'll tag it. But this year's uniform, Navy rocks. I'm a real big deal. I like letters, like my Portland Spikes and Florida State, the way the intertwined letters, and the Naval Academies. They've got Naval Academy. The picture of that is, when I seen that T-shirt, I was mad that I ordered the other T-shirt, because I thought, my wife even said, just go buy that one too. I go, I don't need the 2 Navy shirts, all right? I'm going to wear my one when Avery signs, and whenever I see him, I'll flip it up and go, hey, look. But I don't need 2 of them. If I was going to buy 2, it'd be 2 Army shirts. But anyway, I think it's really cool. I love the way they do it. And that's, like I said, Avery, it's a great decision for him. The minute you told me the academies were looking at him, you know, that it's absolutely fantastic. You're going to get one great education. There's no way. He's got great character, so he's going to nail it there. He's not going to have any issues. The hard thing is when your character may be a little on the downside. It's good for you too, because they'll shape your character. But you struggle a little bit because they're strict. But with Avery's attitude and character, he's not going to have any problems at all. And the good thing about it, not only are you going to get a great education, you're going to get looks. If he grows his body to become an NFL type player, he's got the skill set now. But he's got there's going to be numbers, weight wise and his muscle. He's going to have the opportunity to do that. But when he's said and done, if he doesn't get drafted or get a chance to play NFL football, he's going to have a brotherhood and sisterhood that will be there the rest of his life. That there's no way you can measure that kind of stuff. There's absolutely no way. And so he's set forever. We should be proud community-wise of him. I mean, we're proud of all our athletes, right? But when we have one that kind of separates from the others, there's just no reason to shout him out. It's not, when you do that, you're not dumping on his teammates. You're just, when an individual does something good, we have a president of the United States come out of Portland. We're going to honor him. When Corey Brewer got drafted, we honored him. It's the same thing with Avery. Avery getting a major D1 scholarship is something really great for our community, and the whole community should be proud. Nobody should be jealous of it at all. And it's not saying anything negative about anybody else. We should just be in honor that we've had the opportunity to have a young man like that in this community. And I'm proud of him for sure. And I'm for Navy anytime they play anybody but University of Tennessee and the Army Academy. Period.
Well, you put on a good point right there. You're gonna, be for the kid, as they go forward and everything. I'm just glad he was open when I asked him almost a year ago, when I sat there and asked him if he's open to, playing for an academy and everything. And that's when he said, yeah, he's good with that. So I sent his tape off and everything, and that's where a lot of kids are not ready to play for an academy. They don't want that commitment that you have to give to go to an academy, and past football, the commitment that you have to give for that and everything. And and that's where a lot of kids have to start understanding if they don't have that, what they think is a big time offer. We actually have several kids that's going to go and play next year at the next level. Emiliano
went
is
to Maryville.
going to Maryville.
AB's got an offer.
Just got another offer. He's at 3 or 4 now. It's Rose Holman and everything. They gave him an offer right there. And so, again, everybody goes, well, Rose Holman can't give a scholarship. No, but they can give you aid. They give you grants.
Yeah,
Man, you're going, and you don't have to pay for nothing. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's official, a scholarship.
And they give you
get
books
to go
and stuff. You're still playing.
You get to go and better yourself as a person.
Yes.
And get that education. And that's what I try to preach to the kids, is it's the education that you're going for, because the sport's going to beat you up and tear you down. And when it's done with you, it's done with you. And you can't play that sport again. But guess what? The education is going to stay with you. And the education is what's going to sit there and allow you to pay your mortgage,
Yep.
to allow you to sit there and raise a family, and allow you to sit there and take them out to eat and take them to vacations and doing this and that and everything. And that's what you got to look for. And then when you plan this, it's not, them 4 years that you're going to play ball is great because you get to go ahead and play ball. Sooner or later, that is going to be done, and you have to sit there and tell yourself you have to be ready for when that is going to be done. You have to prepare yourself for that. And I've seen a lot of kids sit there and go, I'm done, and kind of go into I ain't gonna say depression is what everybody thinks depression is, but you get into a depressed state because you don't have that.
It's dramatic. It knocks you in the face big time. It's just like senior day in high school when you don't have any offers, when it is totally over. The kids that get to go to the next level, senior day doesn't affect them as much,
right,
because they know they're going to play somewhere else, hopefully.
Yep.
All because you signed don't mean you're playing. But in their mind, they are, because why would you sign if you didn't think you were going to have a chance to play? But when it hits you when you're done at college, it's, you walk around in a daze.
When
like,
you're done,
what do I have
done,
to do?
you know,
You don't have any more regimen. You don't have to wake up at 6 in the morning. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Even on your breaks, like my son, he would come home from college during break, and he would hit every day. He would, sleep in late. My son loves to sleep in. But he'd get up and he'd go out no matter what, do his work. He worked, do his strength and conditioning and that kind of stuff. And then when you're done, that pattern is totally good. The one thing I do have a problem with is student athletes go to college and they don't get a degree. That was my rule with my son, is you're absolutely going to get a degree. I don't care what it's in. Because I know my nephew, he's a great guy. He works fire department in Clarksville, but he went to college for 4 years, 3 different schools, playing baseball, but never got a degree. And the bad thing about it is, if he'd have got his degree, even if it would have been in basket weaving, it would have helped him get promoted in the fire department to be an officer in the fire department and get more pay. But because he didn't do that, that kind of limited him. So when you go to college, make sure you find something you want to do and do it. For sure. The bad thing is, like, some people, like my son, wanted to go into computer science because that's kind of what I did. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He played sports all his life, and worked at Opryland and cleaned floors with Craig Valentine on the weekends from time to time. But he didn't know what to do. Well, the computer science classes were at night. Well, guess what? If you're playing baseball, you can't take classes at night. So he went into sports management. It worked out for him. He got his degree. Now he's doing surveying, which has got nothing to do with sports management, but he had his degree. So that got him to his job, right? They seen that. And then he took his degree and turned it into, he went online classes at University of Wyoming. He's actually graduated from there too as a surveying. So, all those credits that he got that were good, he could transfer and get some online stuff. So he's got dual degrees. So just go to school and pass your classes and let that opportunity work out for you.
I was going to say, that's one of the hardest things to do, is to have an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old can't even decide what they want to eat or where they want to go to eat, okay? And to sit there and ask them when they come in college as an 18, 19-year-old and go, hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? You got to choose a degree. That's idiotic. I don't think you should have to really choose until after all your basics is done, and that usually takes 2 years. So starting your junior year, kind of like the military academies, you can leave the military academy anytime you want until your junior year. And day one on your junior year, you have to commit. And once you commit, you're now stuck there.
And you have to pick an MOS, what you want to get learned on. And they give you 2 years to start figuring out what everything is too, though.
You can leave. And I think that's kind of what colleges need to do, because it is tough for an 18, 19-year-old kid to go, I don't know what I want to do. I hadn't really thought about it. I'm just trying to be a kid and enjoy this and everything.
And how do you know? I mean, like a lot of people do what their daddy does or their mama does and stuff, but that doesn't mean it actually suits you, right?
Exactly.
So you just never know, what your personality is. That's why I've always thought, and we're going off the rails big time here, is like in high school, I think everybody should take building and trades, period. No matter if you want to or not. You should take 1 year of building things. Because sooner or later, you're going to get in a situation at home that you want to pay someone $10,000 to put that shelf up, or do you want to do it yourself? That kind of stuff. Or bookkeeping. I don't know what's required, but the required English, I get it, right? To a certain point. I know when I was in high school, we were reading books. I don't like reading books. My wife does. But they need to teach you how to write emails and letters to people, because communicating is how you get your next job and stuff. But they need to teach you accounting, like how to balance your checkbook. Does everybody have to do that in high school yet?
No, because
should you not have to?
Who has a checkbook?
Because that's what I'm saying. There's
how do you keep up with you gotta have something to keep up with your balancing.
That is so they don't know how to write cursive. They don't use cursive no more. So when you sit there and say, do this, or what is this? To write a check for some of these kids, and when I say kids, I'm talking mid-20s.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking somewhere between 20 and 30-year-olds, doesn't know how to write a check or how a check actually works. And that just blows my mind, because digital is great. This is great. We're doing digital right now. It is great. But man, if something happens and it takes you back to where you have to actually write things out and do something like that because you don't have your system up.
Yeah,
You
everybody
should
should learn
know,
basic
you know?
skills.
Yeah,
Whatever the
definitely.
basic skills are taught. Like I said, I had to read some Shakespeare book in high school. That really didn't do me any good at all for what I do now. But when one of my teachers said, you know what, we're not going to read the book first, we're going to work on writing resumes to employers. I was in 11th grade. That still has a profile. To make sure my language skills for writing are what they need to be. You know what I'm saying? They assumed it was, but none of our class was ready to write resumes to work. So she just said, put the books down and we're going to do this. And that had a lasting effect on me. And to this day it does, because you have to write emails every day at work. Well, everybody does it, but you know, I have to write emails constantly. And I'm not the greatest speller in the world. I don't always put things together right, but what she taught me in 11th grade has helped me to this day, and I appreciate her doing that, which was not a character. She didn't have to do it, but she thought it was important.
I put an analog clock in my kids' room, and that was fun to watch. No clue.
Hey, everybody's got the little digital stuff now,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Good.
I know how many
Read
steps I do every day now.
Well, that
Some
kind of
more than others.
That kind of leads into the last thing I want to say before we get off here. I guess we ain't got no time limits anymore either, do we?
Well, we do, because I want to go home and eat breakfast and watch college football. Your team plays at 11.
Yeah, my
The one
team
that
goes on.
the one that you had given up on when I said they're going to beat Tennessee, and now last week I seen your OU hat on.
I've worn it for 2 weeks straight now. So
I told you their defense is phenomenal, man. And if
they're
you play
okay.
it, you got to play them like you played the Ravens when the Ravens are the top of their game. You know, you have to play a defense like that, a different offense. You don't be afraid of them, right? You can't shy away, but sometimes they bait you into stuff, some comfort zone that you think you're going to have with them, and you don't have. And we haven't even talked about that game, have we? The Tennessee game. And it's just a couple things. The reason we lost the ball game was one
Didn't
is
make plays.
if you
Score
think
enough points.
no,
There you go.
you think about
It's
it.
simple stuff.
At that time, we were like 11 for 14 or 13 passing. Okay, 11 for 13. We were passing the ball pretty much at will.
Couldn't make third down.
So then we threw a 50-50 ball in the end zone. Now, I'm not a mathematician without a calculator anymore, but 11 for 13 is what, 75%, somewhere around there.
Well, we
At
went
that
over that, but
at that
you're
point,
okay.
you're at 75% completion rate,
Mhm.
right, against a team. You're going to throw a 50-50 ball. Why? Keep throwing the balls you've been completing the whole game. It made no sense, and it was early in the game when they had the gas going down. Then we tried a quarterback sneak on 4th and 3. Man, the kid's a pretty decent guy, you know, but he's not a true runner.
Yeah.
And then against a defense, they had already stripped your quarter. They already crashed it in once and got a strip, fumble, recover, touchdown. Then we missed a 46-yard field goal. That kid can't kick under pressure. Let me just tell you. We beat Georgia and he missed a field
Which
goal.
game- how far back? Which game are you talking about?
This is the Oklahoma
Okay.
game. Then we
What
throw
was that?
to no one near the end of the half. The kid just threw the ball up in the air. I understand sometimes when you're 3rd and 13, you throw an 80-yard pass, right, for quote field position swappage. But at that point, their throw should have never been there. Then they baited him to throw into a safety who wasn't even by. He was standing still. He never bit the left side. He was waiting for you to throw a ball to the right side to your best receiver for a touchdown. So he got a pick there. Then on 4th and 1, they threw to a tight end that hadn't played all game long, maybe 3 plays all season. Hits him in the face mask. And then the OU Sooner field goal guy, he was a cocky guy, dude. He was.
Hey,
he
you
was.
wear those shorts, you can't be.
You were, dude. He. I'm telling you, I'm not a
You
dirty
know,
player, but I would have popped him one
Have you
time.
been holding all this in for like 2
I
weeks?
have been, because we didn't talk about it last week, because I was on the road and I had echo back in my head, so I couldn't concentrate.
Hey, on the rails. Here's the
They're
rain.
on the rails. Listen, he didn't blow the horn. We're gonna have to talk to him about blowing the horn. But anyway, just the OU kicker, he was the difference. You know, they played old-fashioned football. They had, and I told Coach Miguel, did I not, that morning, their defense was phenomenal. And we were going to lose because I thought we were going to play into that, and we did. Our coach did an awful job of circumstantial football. And early in the game, when we had them on the road, we could have scored at least 14 more points early, which would have flipped the whole script. But instead, you know, we just made some bad decisions coaching-wise because they're the ones calling plays that cost us some points that we really needed to get.
Getting into that, there's been talk that Heupel maybe should give up his play calling duties and pay more attention to what's going on the field.
Well, I disagree. You know what? When he took over the program, it was a dumpster fire. We were limited. So he had 25% reduction in scholarships he walked into. You know, limitations on recruiting. If anybody's got anything bad to say about what he's done, they know absolutely nothing about what he's doing. I was going to think about that. Did he make mistakes?
But you just said 4 times about a bad.
I know, but not to
that
get,
was terrible.
but not to get rid of him. But not to get rid of him.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Well, he's not
Heupel
the-
called the play.
Hassel calls those. Joey Hassel.
But here's the thing. Heupel called the play. You've got 4 receivers. The quarterback has to decide
He
which
can-
quarterback.
right.
It's the quarterback's fault, not Heupel who threw the. He didn't throw the ball.
Well, that's like the Alabama deal. Remember, I've got this. We can't do video now because we're not here, but I've got the play. I'll tell you when they Booger.
Yeah.
At halftime was just roasting Heupel. And I got no problem with roasting somebody, but we got some people saying he should go. And that part of the conversation is stupid. Because he doesn't
That's
need to
where I
go
get
at
into
all.
the super fan talk.
Yeah,
You gotta-
I don't mind critiquing, like arguing about a play call. I'm good with that, but don't want him to go anywhere. I love him. I think he's doing a great job. You know what I mean? So that's my point. I thought you were going to the point of cutting his neck off and throwing him to the roost. That's what I thought.
No, just the
I
game
apologize.
management issues that continue to occur.
Yeah.
Some are saying maybe he shouldn't. A lot of other coaches, Lane Kiffin, for example, once they gave up play calling, they were able to really manage the game much better.
Kiffin makes some pretty stupid calls still to this day.
and all
He's
that.
getting ready to make $90 million a year.
I think he's going to make a stupid call here in about a week and a half.
I think he'll probably go next year. The
It's
thing
a
about
done
it
deal
is,
from what I heard today. It's a done deal. They done
on
said the
paper it makes sense.
contract and everything.
But the thing about those LSU kids, and they got some great athletes in Louisiana, like absolutely phenomenal. And then they jump into Texas because it's right there. But they're different kind of kids, right? You better have a little bit, and I don't want to get in trouble on the air here. But so I'm not going to say what I really feel, but they're different kids than he's used to dealing with. And if you can't, that's why I knew Brian Kelly was not going to succeed, is because there was no way he would understand the culture in Louisiana. Dude, that's a different country game. So if you don't understand those kids, or you have a whole coaching staff that you better hire that understands that kind of kid down there, you're going to hit your head up against the wall a lot. They may be great athletes, but they might not always be the smartest great athletes.
I'm a big one on the Lane train, but I'm not going to root for LSU. So.
Well, I wouldn't root for
If
I don't root for LSU if I was coaching. Okay, I would want my buyout and get out of there as quick as I possibly
What's
could.
the over/under on the Oklahoma-Missouri game today? 20.
Is it at Missouri or Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
Well, they're going to win.
Who's going? First team to score the 14 win.
I hate Missouri coaches.
Tennessee Tech got a big game today.
He's a Wayne.
They do. They're
That's
playing
a
for
huge game.
OVC championship.
Win that game, and they've got a guaranteed top 8 in the playoffs, so they'll have a home game. They're in anyway, from what I understand, even if they lose, but they'll have to travel if they lose. But
Yeah.
going up against UT Martin
UT
for
Martin.
the
Martin's lost one conference game.
championship.
Yep. Tech is undefeated in the conference. They one loss for the year was last week against Kentucky, and that's not a bad thing.
I think that game would have been way closer against Kentucky if they had played in like week 2.
Could have been.
or something.
Yeah. You know, it's a big game there. I would have loved to go up and watch it and everything, but you know, hopefully they can pull it off and win the OVC. And I'm really happy for Coach Wilder and what he's doing up there. It's really great. And you know, I got a thing the other day. They put the last piece of steel on the new it'd be the west side of the stadium there. That last piece of steel went in this past week, and so it was crazy watching the games last year and this year. You got nothing but rubble and everything, and then all of a sudden, you got a stadium sitting there, and for that to happen at that place, trust me, played there many years and wondered, when's this going to change? and when's it going to start taking effect? And I'm just glad that it's starting to take effect and people start to enjoy it. And that's an old stadium. Let me tell you, it's an old stadium. And for it not to change for 30 years after I played, and it hadn't really changed that much before I played, it needed a renovation big time.
So is that just an improvement only, or will it add to the capacity?
It's going to add to capacity, and then everything will be on that side of the stadium until they can tear down the east side and build that up and everything. But it's it's in steps and stages and everything. But that's one big. The coach's office is in a portable trailer.
Really?
Yeah, they've been in a portable trailer for 3 years now, because it got so bad over there at the east side where the coach's office and the weight room and everything used to be, and the leaks and all that stuff got so bad they actually put them in the end zone in portable trailers, and that's where they meet, and that's where their coach's office are for the last 3 years. So, that's something they've had to deal with and everything. But again, great show, guys. I know we had some issues with audio started, and we got it all figured out, and now we know, and next week will be better. Like I said at the start of the show, bear with us on the bugs. We'll get it figured out and everything, and learning how to use all the equipment that we got going. And but appreciate it, guys, both of y'all coming in today. I'm excited about next week. Hopefully we'll have Easton Duffy with us to talk about wrestling and give us more insight on that, and maybe some wins on from basketball and some other things that's going on. But hopefully we can get this video edited. We'll see how it looks and sounds. If it's not good or anything like that, we won't post it. But if it is, we'll post it on the YouTube channel, and you can watch the show again live, and we'll kind of see how that goes. Again, it's baby steps for us, guys, but appreciate the changeover, and we're excited about doing this and bringing this to y'all, and we're really excited about being part of the Portland Sports Network is what we're calling it. Bringing you live footage and from audio to video sooner or later with basketball games and any other sport that we start doing. Great adventure for all three of us to move forward. I want to thank the Portland Quarterback Club again for allowing us to use the hut for today and from here on. Guests, when you come on, you got snacks and drinks and stuff for y'all when you get here. I want to thank Mr. Woods and Portland High School for kind of, I guess, backing us to coming along with us.
We're the flagship station.
To be the main people now to start broadcasting live events for the sporting events and everything. And so, again, it's a big step for all three of us. We're excited, but we're also hesitant as we move forward because there's a lot of stuff moving on. And we'll take recommendations. We'll take reviews. Just send them to either through text messages, emails, or on the messenger on the Facebook. Just get it to us somehow, some way, and we'll try to answer your questions and try to make things better for everybody. And other than that, guys, you got anything?
Go Vols.
I figure you pull up the fight song. And
I don't want to hurt Kyle's feelings now. Don't be showing up in orange the rest of the season here, buddy. We're going to beat Florida tonight. We're ready to go.
Okay.
And then we're going to beat Little Brother next week. Knock their slight playoff hopes out of the equation.
Okay.
Panther fans, y'all have a great Saturday, and be safe going through your day and through the weekend. And we'll see you next week. For Kyle Eden, John Thayer, I'm Coach Almendares. This is Off the Rails, Portland Sports Saturday. God bless.